Storytime part 2. I almost got arrested after sneaking into an abandoned hospital. As soon as we realized the cops showed up, we tried to make it to the center of the building. 2 of my friends and I were somehow able to make it across the entire hospital and find a back entrance where we were able to hide out for a little bit. We started to work our way around the building to try to get to our car in the front, but as we did that, a cop started walking by, so we had to hide and duck in the grass and trees. We had to get across the street and go through another patch of dirt in order to get back to my car. But the thing is, 2 of my other friends were still inside with the intoxicated boys. They ended up falling through a hole in the floor and falling down on top of each other in a pile of broken glass and parts of the building. This was like the bottom basement. Somehow they were still able to make it out of there by using the stairs that were completely messed up. By the time that they had gotten out, the cops had went to another part of the broken down town. So as we were approaching the car, they were running out of the building. We all hop into the car and catch up on what happened. The 2 girls from inside the building had really bad glass injuries, so we immediately went to the gas station to get first aid. Follow me on my Instagram, link below, and DM me if you have a story. So this is about the time that my best friend spread a rumor that I had an orgy with 15 girls. So in my freshman year of high school, I became friends with this girl that we can call Sarah. I started to get red flags immediately after we became friends. After people started to notice that we were hanging out, I got so many DMs on Instagram telling me to watch out for her. Anyways, I didn't believe them and I continued to be friends with her for a while. But then she got really jealous once I started to talk to this guy. I turned him down, so I thought that she would calm down too, but she did not. I could really feel that something was off. The next time we hung out together, she hid her phone around me. I knew that this was really weird because 1, it had never happened before, and 2, just like, why? Is something gonna pop up that you don't want me to see? I also went over to her house to hang out and I noticed that her parents were whispering a lot and kind of looking at me funny. But again, I just brushed it off until I got a DM from an old friend from elementary school. She stated that Rachel told many people that I had had an orgy with over 15 girls. So this is when I decided to get revenge. Storytime part 2 of when my best friend spread a rumor that I had an orgy with 15 other girls. So once my old friend from elementary school hit me up and let her know that she was spreading this rumor, I finally believed what people had said before. Soon after this, I found out she kept a journal about me, kind of like a burn book, but just for me. She wrote every detail about my life in it. It included things like arguments that I had with my family, and also every single person that I had added on Snapchat was listed there. So to get revenge, I sat down to make a TikTok. The purpose of it was to call her out and clear my name so that everyone knew that what she was saying was a lie, and so that they could know how actually crazy she was. This TikTok ended up being removed almost instantly. Yet little did I know she had screen recorded it and sent it over to the principal. Less than a week later, her and her boyfriend were doing the nasty in the parking lot of the school, so I decided to respond by taking a video of it and anonymously sending it to our principal. Sarah ended up getting expelled and I got away with a detention. It was honestly kind of worth it. Follow for more story times in my Instagram's link below. Storytime about my emotionally abusive ex-fiance and his psychotic family. So when I started college, I met this guy on Facebook. And I mean, he was a dreamboat. We hit it off immediately and I knew that he lived in my hometown, even though I was out of state for college. And when I tell you this guy was sweet, I mean, he could put Nicholas Sparks novels to shame. While looking back, a lot of the stuff was cringy. He was my first relationship. Well, one day when we were on the phone, he was talking about how excited he was to be married one day and adopt animals together. I was totally excited about it with him, and he decided to propose on the phone, on the spot. He was like, please don't embarrass me. I'm down on one knee in front of everyone right now. And so I just said yes. Well, I thought this was the beginning of my happy ending. Things got worse. He became extremely obsessive and controlling. He would blow up my phone whenever I was in lectures and get a hold of the college admissions office when I wouldn't respond, and would yell at me if I fell asleep because he thought I was ignoring him. I would literally wake up to text about him hurting himself or selling. I was so scared that he was actually going to do something crazy that I left school and started driving back to my hometown. Once I got there, I met his family and realized just how messed up everything was. You won't believe what happens next. Follow me on Insta in the meantime. Storytime about my emotionally abusive ex-fiance and his psychotic family. So once I got to town, I was finally able to meet his family, and he told them that I went to an Ivy League school and got in only because I was autistic, which was just untrue. I immediately noticed that the relationship between his mom and him were completely off. They both had each other as their wallpaper on their phone, and she acted as if she had a crush on him. When we decided to introduce both of our families together, his mom told my mom that she's sad that I don't look more like her because she's beautiful, then proceeded to say that it's nice that her son spends so much time with me even though I'm homely looking. She was also a therapist and claimed that it was her job to manipulate people and control their minds. Yeah, I bet that's the person you want to see when you're down. Because my boyfriend was in the military, when he went back overseas, I was pretty much forced to be on Skype with him 24/7. It didn't matter where I was. And if I didn't respond, he would post horrible things about me on Facebook. Or he would send me videos of cats or puppies getting eaten by snakes to get back at me. I didn't watch them because they were so upsetting, but I was still too scared to leave him and I was entirely sleep deprived. Stay tuned for what's next and follow me on Instagram. Storytime about my emotionally abusive ex and his psychotic family. So I was still not prepared to leave him and had to be on Skype with him all the time, in the bathroom or in the shower. If I refused and asked for privacy, he'd tell me how horrible and how ugly I was, and that he'd end his life because of my cruelty. The only time that I didn't have to talk with him was whenever I was hanging out with his mom. And when I did this, she would spend the entire time talking about him. She would tell stories about him and show me pictures, and in the pictures she took of him, he was either shirtless or sleeping. And the weirdest thing is that she said she taught her son how to be a good lover, whatever that means. She would also frequently tell me that I was going to hell for having sex with him, and she only knew this because she would log into his messages and read them. She talked about my body all the time and tried to give me tips so I could be prettier. This went on for months until I eventually made the decision to break up with him, and I had to move in with a friend because he kept sending scary things to my house. He would send stuffed animals with their limbs or head removed. He would also send empty envelopes, probably just trying to get me to come outside. Not long after this, he sent his cousin to try to kidnap me, and he said that he was doing this all in the name of love. Thankfully, this is over now, but if you have a story you want to share, follow me on Insta. Story time about how I fell for a pathological liar. So when I was 14, I had a really good friend who had a boyfriend. I had never met him before until one day I saw them both walking together. I introduced myself and they ended up breaking up later on. That's when he slid into my DMs on Facebook. At the time, I literally didn't make the connection that they were the same person because I'd only met him that one time. Long story short, we messaged back and forth a lot. I ended up taking the bus and hooking up with him, and we pretty much spent every day together since then. Everything seemed great, and then things went downhill in a very scary way. He would constantly flirt with other girls on Facebook who were literally all bots, and he would change his cover photos to pictures of them. He would literally just lie and make up excuses on why he was doing that. But I was still kind of young and he was 17. Then at my sister's wedding, he ended up exchanging info with one of her best friends, and one night when I was gone, he told me he was hanging out with her. She later messaged me and said that wasn't true. I came home to confront him and he screamed at me and threw me across the room. He beat me until I passed out and then woke me up by pouring a bottle of water over me. Somehow he manipulated me into staying with him past this, and things got even worse. Stay tuned for part 2 and follow me on Instagram.
You saw nothing.
Bye, sisters.